In 1990s, with the advent of mobile phone, no one thought that today we'll have about a $1.2 billion SIMs in India, 700 million smartphones. Everyone who did any future prediction at that point was 50 to 100x off in magnitude of what this technology could be. In 2010, very few of us knew what OTT would mean. And today, it's changed the landscape of how we look at entertainment and how we consume content, right? And similarly, I think there are lots of technologies which are actually transforming the way individuals, enterprises, cities, states, countries will operate going in the future. The idea today is to share some art of possibility, and hopefully it will ignite a few ideas, spark a few ideas for you as you think about your daily routine. So as we look globally, right, we've done a bunch of research to say what is the next S-curve, right? And the 5 themes that come out from this. The piece on AI revolution. I know AI, generative AI burst into limelight earlier this year. It's been the talk of the town. But AI has been existing for the past 15, 20 years, been streamlined over the past 10 years. 50% of enterprises today benefit from AI, and we'll speak a lot about that. Second is, how do you build digital future, right? How does it change software development? Everyone today can create applications. How do you create trust in digital identity and architecture? And we believe India actually is in the forefront of this revolution. And how do you decentralize web? Third is on cutting edge engineering. Mobility, again, we have seen we are in the forefront of that evolution. Bioengineering and space technologies, each of which will have impact on how we communicate and how we do. Fourth, a very important topic in today's day and age, a sustainable world. We're speaking about decarbonization, and we'll say how much, what is the intensity of which we need to pursue to actually leave a better world behind. And lastly, connectivity and compute. We've seen 5G, it's revolutionized what we're doing. We've seen the launch of FWA in India over the last 1 month. It will bring connectivity of never thought proportions into everyone's home, right? Change the way you learn, change healthcare, change entertainment, everything. So what it means in terms of opportunities. Combined, these 15 technologies have the potential to create globally $100 trillion of economic value addition, $100 trillion. Over the past 5 years, we have seen 3 million plus job listings every year and growing only at 10% plus. 11 out of these 15 technologies actually are talent deficit. There comes the opportunity for us to actually create the talent. We spoke about skilling, we spoke about Talent Hub. Bangalore always been a forefront of it. How can actually it play a role in this evolution? AI revolution. As I said, this is now streamlined. AI has been a forefront of all organizations. As we speak to CEOs, about 25% CEOs say 5% of their EBIT comes from AI, right? In the morning, I think Prakash sir mentioned being responsible about how we use it, the fear of jobs being there, and everyone had it. When we started with automation, everyone thought it's actually to cut down jobs and what will people do. Today, 2/3 of the impact is actually creating new revenue, which means new jobs. 1/3 is automation, but that is reinvested back into new revenue generation opportunities. 33% of the people in technology, telecom, media industry are using some form or other of generative AI tools to help them be more productive, help them be more effective, and deliver value to the company, to the clients, to the ecosystem. But what is generative AI? What is the fuss about? Over the last 15 years, we've been using what we call analytical AI. It essentially is helpful in forecasting sales, segmenting our customers, doing some analysis, but fundamentally, it uses only structured data. And less than 10% of data that exists today is structured data. Generative AI fundamentally disrupts that. Its ability to actually use unstructured data, it could be images, videos, call recordings, and make sense out of that to not just predict, but create new systems, new ideas, new content is what separates it from what we've been using as AI. And that, by definition, will use more data, more computing power, and disrupt the way we think of multiple themes. But what's the use of generative AI? As we see this, there are 4 use cases or 4 broad themes where generative AI is being deployed. First is just concession. Take McKinsey, for example. Over the past 100 years, it's a 100-year-old institution. We have 60, 70,000 documents at any point of time. Anytime I go and search for a document, I'm just not able to find what I need, right? We have launched our platform called Lily. Lily happens to be the first woman employee that McKinsey had a long, long time back, so this is an ode to her, where whatever question I have, it searches everything that McKinsey has in the institution and gives you the best, be it a document, be it the right people to speak to, so on and so forth. We have seen in different industries, and it's an average of multiple industries, significant effectiveness, significant employee satisfaction increase as we do this. Second, everyone would have known this is Bangalore. I won't preach to the choir, coding, right? I think depending on where you code, we have seen 20 to 50% productivity deployment. Now, yes, this means you're automating a bunch of stuff which is done by people, but this increases the overall opportunity for us to actually be the services powerhouse globally and expand the market to areas and use cases which never existed. Third is customer engagement. Every one of us, every application we use, call the call center and they have no idea who you are. They have no idea of the history. They have no idea what the previous interactions the same company have been, right? They are just responding at a unit transaction. But this is actually taking, based on the voice of the customer, doing a sentiment analysis, customizing responses at the time, using all the data it has about the customer. We have already seen in different parts of the world, 60% increase from a customer satisfaction level. So as we see about our startups, as we see how we are thinking of our customer service, this could actually play a pivotal role on how we reduce attrition, how we increase our business and ability to do. And lastly, content generation. We are seeing the ability to actually create new content, starting from basic documents that you use on day-to-day business, but generative AI can now produce end-to-end movies, knowing very well what an audience wants. Every 15 seconds, you need an action scene. What words actually are cliched? What words actually spark? Which sequences are audiences going back and watching again? And how do you create a movie with the full storyline without any intervention? Right? So the amount of content that they can create, personalization at n equal to 1 level, it's a game-changing story. Yeah. I'll skip through some of the detailed slides, but generative AI as of today is a $4 trillion opportunity. But as I said in the example of a mobile phone, we could be 100 of X off, right? We don't know the power. Only 3 things I would say from a state perspective and enterprise perspective. There are 3 implications for us. One, how do we create the talent who is empowered, who is skilled in using generative AI tools to drive adoption of this? Second, generative AI will require a huge amount of investment in computing power, right? We've already seen major corporate houses announcing partnerships with global players. This will mean setting up of quantum computing, setting up of power, which will drive more jobs, more GDP, right? How can we be in the forefront of that? And third, I think we referred to that in the morning session. How do we create the framework around responsible use of AI? Any technology will have its pros and cons, And how do we define the guardrails? How do we define usage? Will actually define how much benefit our state will have from this. Okay, building the digital future. I think all of you will know some of this software development. The idea is how can you move development away from just coders and developers to every single individual. Low code platforms, no code platforms, every one of you can create actually a new application. Just going online, using the platform, you can create a new application. That defines a completely different level of how we do our tasks on a day-to-day basis. Trust architecture and digital identity. I think, and I'll stress test on this one a little bit more as we speak, but with increasing digital focus, the only thing stopping us from exponential growth is just the trust we have in the system. So we have seen 38-40% increase in digital attacks, cybersecurity attacks over the last 2 years. Indian consumers do not adopt e-commerce because they lack trust on who is getting their data, but also who is the seller and what are they getting there. And we'll speak about that. And we do believe, actually, India is at the forefront of the evolution. If you look at this, we spoke about 700 million people with smartphones, 1.2 billion overall. Everyone has this stack, right? And this is a very unique stack India has created. There's a connectivity layer at the bottom with 4G, 5G, the Wi-Fi, the BharatNet. I think just providing ubiquitous connectivity to everyone to use digital. Second, the identification layer, which is very, very, very unique to the Indian context, be it Aadhaar, know your customer, the TIN numbers, the GST numbers, just having security around the individual identities. The open utilities on top of that, be it UPI, which is now a world best-in-class world case, right? Other countries are now trying to adopt UPI in their systems. Aadhaar-enabled payments, e-signatures, so on and so forth. But how do we actually create standard protocols and frameworks to use this in a very systematic way to expand? And we'll speak about ONDC in a minute. But also it has several government applications running on top of this entire stack, right? I think the biggest example I can give is CoWIN, where all the entire 100 crores or 120 crores of people got the vaccination on an application which was built on top of this entire stack and delivered systematically, right? So a big congratulations to everyone in this group. I would want to take a minute to speak about ONDC and what it means. I think ONDC is trying to use this entire stack to democratize e-commerce in the country, both on the buyer side and the seller side. We actually believe there's a huge growth that it can unlock over the next 5 to 7 years and be at the center of enabling that. Just, again, crystal ball gazing, what it means. Digital products and services. Today, we see e-commerce $60 to $70 billion from a consumption perspective. We expect that to be about $300 billion in the next 7 years, so 5x in the next 7 years. The consumers transacting from 150, 160 million to about 500 million, which is about 70-80% of the smartphones we have. So every single person who is eligible will probably be transacting on the platform. It will be a huge boost to MSMEs. Today, across all the platforms, there are 5 to 6 million MSMEs who are registered as sellers on the platform. This could actually explode and become 30-40 million, which is about 2/3 of our MSME base who are involved. Every single retailer in every street can actually be on the platform. It drives self-employed workforce, again a 10x increase. You could be sitting in your house and creating something and selling on the platform, right? Because this has a unique ability to get technology, sellers, buyers, logistics providers, and payment gateways into one single platform. The last use case we see is actually penetration on B2B side. Right now, everyone speaks about B2C. B2B has been lagging. But our belief is this will actually also drive, especially on the MSME side, the penetration to B2B consumption on e-commerce. And we expect about 10% of procurement for companies to actually happen on these platforms, right? So it's a big change. and there's a potential for us to unlock. And as of now, it's actually doing better than what we thought. As of September, I think the team released a report a couple of weeks ago. They have cumulatively done 1.1 million orders this year. So that's about 30-40K orders on groceries and transactions, and about 5.4 million mobility transactions, right? That's staggering. So today, on any given day, they do about 100K transactions per day. 30 to 40% being groceries and 60% being mobility, right? So it's already taking off, and we're seeing interest from different players across the ecosystem, being the startups who are the seller side, being the merchants on the back, be it the logistics providers, to actually get on the platform and see how they can actually democratize e-commerce in the country. I've already spoken about that. The next big thing, cutting edge engineering, future of mobility. All of us would have heard about it, autonomous driving, but we'll explain what it means. But in a nutshell, we are about at a century since the mass production of automobiles started, right? And a lot of that has been mechanical in nature because it's about just assembling, and a lot of that has then been to countries like China, which have at scale adoption. For the first time, we are actually seeing a disruption in the value chain of automotive manufacturing. A significant part of the value is going from mechanical to software, and which is where I think we have an opportunity to leapfrog in automotive manufacturing as a nation. We have service providers already helping some of the German manufacturers with software development, writing the entire platforms, and hence, as a part of that, capturing the significant part of the overall value. Bioengineering, we saw during the pandemic, some of the vaccines developed benefit from this, but as of today, globally, we are seeing about 50 plus mRNA based developments in the pipeline that are fundamentally going to change how we think of diseases. Agri-processing, be it cultivated meat, plant-based products, bioplastics, all adding to 50 to 60 billion per year from a production perspective. And lastly, futures of space technology. We are getting lighter in the way we are launching. We all celebrated ISRO a couple of months back on what it's achieved. But how do you actually leverage space? Not only from exploration perspective, but from a connectivity perspective. We also, Apple, for example, have this emergency calling all on your phones. That's enabled by low Earth orbit satellites, right? Any place on the planet, even if there's no connectivity, it provides a way for us to actually be connected, right? So it's fundamentally changing the way we do. I'll spend a minute on future of mobility. I think future of mobility is driven by 4 key trends, right? And each of them interplaying into each other to create a virtuous cycle. One is autonomous driving. So how do we think of shared vehicles? To enable autonomous driving, we need connected vehicles. So connectivity plays a big part of our mobility. For connectivity, we need electrification. So electrification, and how do you increase the range of EVs that can then be run through data analytics on an ongoing basis, and that will drive to shared mobility. So each of these keeps feeding into each other to create a virtuous cycle. I spoke about the value chain disruption. Today in India, we have about 100 million odd four-wheelers, thrice that amount in two-wheelers. All the four-wheelers will have to at some point go that transformation. So the opportunity in India is significant, but like we said, this is the opportunity for us to actually lead manufacturing in automobile globally because this is becoming much more software-led, and that's the big shift, an opportunity for us. I don't think I need to speak a lot about a sustainable world. We've already seen a takeoff in electricals and renewables. Electrification using solar, wind, these are now mature technologies and more getting streamlined. But climate technologies on how do you remove carbon, How do you think of circular technology? I think someone spoke about this morning, alternative proteins, water, biodiversity solutions, right? So I think, and the reason this is important is this is no longer optional for us, right? And we'll come to the temperature in a minute, but at least there's significant near-term investment needed to drive this. So $3 to $5 trillion of investment is needed over 7 years globally to actually create a more sustainable economy. Of course, this will need bolder regulation. We're seeing lots of countries led by Europe being more stringent about regulations. Investors are now saying, listen, we will invest at a premium only in sustainable businesses. So we are seeing from a corporate perspective, uplift in EBITDA multiples, if you want to take it that way. Customers are being more conscious. The Gen Zs, the millennials are saying, listen, we care about the earth. We need to live here for the next 100 years. So we will actually be conscious and consume what is more sustainable, right? Same with talent. People want to work at companies which are conscious, environmental conscious of what they're doing. ESG is a boardroom topic in every company as we speak. But the action needed actually is quite drastic. If you look at this shows the rise in average global temperature. There are 3 pathways we have drawn on the left-hand side. If you don't take any action, right, we will see a 2 to 2.5% increase in average temperature over the next 30 years. As some might say 2%, 2 degrees doesn't sound much, but it has multiple second, third order effects, melting of the Arctic. We're already seeing the first ice-free Arctic, summer for the Arctic. We're seeing multiple manifestations of that, right? So that's saying, listen, we don't care, we keep going, we'll hit there. I think there's a 2-degree pathway and there's a 1.5-degree pathway there. 1.5-degree pathway essentially means by 2030, we almost go to zero from a carbon emission perspective, right? That's the drastic action that is needed for us to protect the earth. And a significant amount of investment is actually going there. So if you look at the technologies that are actually focused on this, historically it's been more solar. So solar energy over the past 10 to 20 years has seen a dramatic streamlining. Every household now has a solar panel trying to send electricity into the grid. But if you look at the other technologies across I'll start from the right. Solar and wind are mature, and we will see anywhere between 7x to 4x deployment. From an early adoption perspective, we are seeing batteries. A lot of talk is on batteries, advanced fuels, biofuels. How do you create fuel out of microbes rather than fossil fuels, alternative proteins, right? There are certain technologies which have demonstrated potential, but still to be evaluated and streamlined. So renewable hydrogen, again, we've seen a lot of talk around that, carbon capture, storage, so on and so forth. But few technologies are still early in the R&D stage, be it long duration energy storage. And this links back to your EV, how far can a car go, what is the range of an EV, so on and so forth, carbon removals. And these will see 100x over the next few years. Last topic, compute and connectivity. I think advanced connectivity is changing. We saw the rollout of 5G over the last 1 year or so. It's already changing the way we live our lives. Over the next 20 years, there's no reason why it cannot change the way we live, right? I mean, schooling at home, maybe. Traffic systems controlled based on connectivity through cars. Healthcare systems connected so that you get live support, even in ambulances which are stuck in Bangalore traffic, for example. So there are uninhibited uses that we can actually see from a connectivity perspective. Immersive and reality technologies, at least we believe this will change the way manufacturing works. This will change the way we interact in our corporate offices. This will change the way we consume entertainment. Interactive entertainment, gaming could be the next generation of what we do. Cloud and edge computing, again, ultra low latency, data sovereignty, data privacy, How do you actually drive that? Here, moving from on-prem to off-prem, so on and so forth. And each of them have material impact on businesses, on states, on planning for cities, so on and so forth. One small example, Baxter, for example, actually by using and deploying this, avoided hundreds of hours of plant downtime, right, to unplanned downtime. And this meant that production on medicines actually went up, which were then distributed to different parts of the world to save lives, right? So it has significant impact there. I think, again, from a Karnataka perspective, what it means, we will see an uplift in next-gen devices. We expect 80% of the Wi-Fi connection to be Wi-Fi 6 or better in the next 5 to 7 years. There'll be investments in network capacity. Our networks are already choked. We'll see what happens on Saturday when India plays Pakistan in the World Cup, but everyone's consuming that over OTT, and networks need to provide for that. We estimate globally 52 billion connected devices. This includes sensors in plants, this includes your mobile phone devices, this includes your tablets at home, this includes cars, this includes live telemedicine devices, 52 billion connected devices over this. For us, it means, can we get into manufacturing? Can we actually support the analytics for such a wide adoption of connected devices? But there's so much we can do in each of our industries and at home. How our consumers, we spoke about it, right? We spoke about consumption of internet, delivery of education, delivery of content, delivery of healthcare to individual customers to be rapidly changed.